Moraes just hates Allan so much that he couldn't.
What did you do, Allan? Did you poke his wife?
I am irresistible. I can't blame him.
Some Brazilians in America are saying bad things about the Brazilian government, so the Brazilian government is attempting to ban them, not just in Brazil, but in America as well. So here to discuss are Brazilians in America saying bad things about the Brazilian government, Allan dos Santos and Paulo Figueiredo. And for those out there, please do follow these gentlemen, support them. Paulo Figueiredo is at Real P Figueiredo on X. Allan dos Santos is Allan L. dos Santos on X. Gentlemen, are you both there? Can you see me, hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear both of you, and both of you look far more polished than I do right now. I don't know what kind of backlighting you have, but you look like a biracial angel. Now, let me ask you guys, is there anything that I've missed, and how scary is this for you right now?
Well, I guess it's pretty scary. I was indicted with President Bolsonaro yesterday, also part of the Disney World coup d'etat. So it's pretty scary. The only reason why Allan and I are not in a prison is because we are in the United States. So I've been living here for 11 years now, and Allan has been here under political asylum as well. So it's very scary, and I think it should be scary for everyone in the world because it's part of a global trend. And what Moraes has done in Brazil was done in a little different manner in the United States, but it's the same theory behind it. Through big techs, through people in the deep state government calling people from Meta and screaming at them to remove content. In Brazil, things were more blunt. Moraes just gave orders and threatened to send people to prison. But it's the same trend, and this is part of what J.D. Vance was talking about last week on his speech in Europe. It was a global trend, and the worst part of it, and I say that because the United States is my country too, is because it was all funded by the United States. Moraes was fully funded by USAID, and we're getting more and more proofs of that. And it was part of the United States policy, foreign policy, to export this censorship that they implemented successfully here in the United States and led to the Joe Biden becoming the president in 2020. Yeah. So Moraes is a product of that United States foreign policy. He was empowered by that. And so I think we're here in the United States, and we're happy that this is happening, that the country is turning into the right direction. But the rest of the world is still feeling the results of this disastrous foreign policy that the Biden administration implemented during 4 years. Yeah. And that's very sad.
Well, and I know we had both of you here, and we obviously have had these Ash Wednesdays and had you on quite a few times. Allan, I wanted to ask you, was this a surprise to you? Did you guys kind of think, okay, at least I'm safe, if I get out of that jurisdiction and maybe get stateside, and they're coming for you in this country now too?
Yeah, for me, it's a pretty good thing that Moraes is being accountable. Why? Because I was talking to some friends of mine that were celebrating everything that Doge and Trump are doing right now, but somehow we have seen this movie in Brazil, like unmasking the corruption, showing who was corrupted and so forth, but they never have been held accountable.
Right.
So the next step is very important. So to see what's going on in the United States right now, it's pretty good, but I want to see every criminal here holding accountable.
Right.
Because that's what happened in Brazil. We exposed them. We exposed them in Lava Jato scheme. We exposed them in Mensalão, Petrolão. We have a lot of scandals involving the Supreme Court, involving the Workers' Party, involving all the communists down there. Because we exposed them, they found a way to censor us wherever we would be live streaming. Yeah. And this is very important to say that when you mentioned before, they have more power there than here in the United States. I was listening carefully when you said that, because for a few, that was a tiny piece that did not make the Democrat pack the Supreme Court in the United States.
Right.
So that would happen here
of course.
in the United States too. And if Trump wouldn't win the election, if people did not understand correctly that we need Trump as a president, we would be facing right now the Democrat not complaining about Elon Musk, but arresting Elon Musk, arresting everyone, and put everyone in prison, and also pack the Supreme Court, because that's what happened in Brazil.
I can imagine.
So to see Moraes holding accountable here for violating U.S. laws, it's pretty good.
I do hope that is what transpires. Also, just on sort of a side note, do you guys find it gut-bustingly sort of urinate yourself hilarious that AP is claiming a violation of the First Amendment, their rights here, because they're not personally being invited on Air Force One, considering you guys are being fitted for an orange jumpsuit?
I think they should go to Brazil. I think they should go to Brazil and try talking, bad-mouthing Alexandre de Moraes. I think that's what they should do. I think they would get the VIP treatment. They would get Uber Black, bringing them from airport to a very nice hotel with free meals. And free clothing as well. So I think they should try that.
That's one way to look at it. You're ever the optimist looking out for the other guy. This is where let me ask you this, actually. Because in the United States, we know that the media is corrupt. And we obviously see this not only with you said, but this goes back to Barack Obama and journalist. You obviously are journalists. But I want to ask you, beyond the government, what has the tone been with other Brazilian journalists? Is it like here where they lean far left all the time, and so you guys are kind of the two odd men out? Or do they see the writing on the wall, and are they concerned about their freedom as journalists? Have they defended you, or have they sort of distanced themselves?
Some of them have been
journalists for a long time. The Brazil mainstream media is just as dead as it is the mainstream media in the United States. I think it's even worse there. They don't care for free speech anymore. It used to be a consensus in the Western world until 5 years ago that you should not silence dissidents and different political opinions. But right now in Brazil, I'd say 90%, 95% of the mainstream media actually applauded what happened to Allan and what happened to me.
Yeah.
Like I said, remember, I had the number one political show on TV in the country until 2022. Mm-hmm. They shut me down. And instead of actually saying, well, this is dangerous, 99% of the journalists said, well, he's not really a journalist. He's they call me, and Allan's the same thing. They call him a blogger, a YouTuber, a social media influencer. And the funny thing is that I actually went to journalism school. Most of them didn't. And it was on mainstream media TV. I've written for U.S. papers, Brazilian papers, and they still call me. And now even the federal police of my country, they refuse to call me journalist. They call me entrepreneur, which I am as well.
Sure.
That's true. I'm an economist. Yes, I am an economist as well, but mainly my profession is journalist. It's like, I don't know what's your master's or your bachelor's degree says. If you're reporting news and commenting on it, you're a journalist. That's the definition.
You're a podcaster.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they go podcast. That's what they always do too.
That's what I am.
Yeah. There is a point that's very interesting that you make, like if someone was kind of defending us, when I was using Terça Livre, my company in Brazil, when I was operating in Brazil, my channel was the Bright Bar of Brazil. Like imagine Bright Bar in this prime time.
Yeah.
In this prime time in the beginning. So everyone that started broadcasting in Brazil and getting successful, they passed through Terça Livre before. So all of them started in there. And Paulo... including Paulo. So when Paulo was on mainstream media defending me, he got punished.
Right.
They delivered this message. If you go defending all the people that I'm going after, you're gonna be persecuted too. Luis Lacombe, who is here with me, he is now we are in a Timeline magazine. It's a new project that we have here in the United States. He was in the biggest TV broadcast in Brazil, global. It's very famous. He was a journalist in there for more than 20 years. He has more than 30 years of experience doing journalism. He was doing sports and so forth. And then he got a show, like a entertainment show for morning show in Brazil. And he invited me to go there. I'm talking about TV, not YouTube, TV, not internet. He got fired at the end of the show just because he invited me.
Wow. Yeah. It doesn't, I mean, yes, it's terrible, but it doesn't surprise me. Again, as someone who's, been in media really since I was a teenager, and I've spoken about it with Nick too. It's unfortunately been the same thing in the comedy side a lot. It's not all the comedians, but it's a lot of bookers. It's a lot of producers, like you mentioned with HBO. And what's the first thing they do is say, oh, this person's not funny. This person's not a comedian. Or, oh, this person's not a journalist. Well, hold on a second. Are they reporting news? Are they exposing corruption? Are they breaking news? They're a journalist. Well, hold on a second. Are people paying to go see that person, make them laugh? They're a comedian. You may not like it, but they just go through this whole sequence of denying, and then eventually discrediting. I think Gerald has a question, and we're going to continue, of course, for those who aren't members on Rumble Premium, which allows us to do all of this. Gerald.
Yeah. So Paulo, I'm going to start with you. Allan, I'll ask you to answer the same question. But why do you think that Brazil reinstated Rumble just last week, only to turn around and do something like this? Because we kind of thought, like, okay, maybe there's some positive movement, and now we see this.
So what's happening is that Moraes is shitting his pants. That's a straightforward answer.
Okay.
He's shitting his pants once he saw that Donald Trump became the president. He lost all the USAID funding for his pet projects, censorship projects in Brazil. Just to give you an example, the company, the software that monitor all the social media platforms in Brazil to make sure we were not promoting any hate speech, which is any speech they dislike.
Right.
It was fully funded by the United States, fully funded by us, American taxpayers.
You mean the actual software and programs that were used to monitor speech online? They were funded through likely an NGO that was with USAID.
USAID. Yeah.
Wow.
And not through an NGO, directly. USAID. Yeah. Okay. USAID funded, for example, there's a guy in Brazil called Felipe Neto. He's an influencer with millions and millions of followers. Like, he creates content for kids. He's very politically active in Brazil and very much against Bolsonaro. Mm-hmm. The United States Embassy sent him money directly to his NGO, which is him. To promote disinformation campaigns against disinformation. So
it's like a communist blippy.
Yeah,
exactly. The good part of it is Donald Trump got in. You're sheriff in town. He cut all the funds of USAID. So all of this lost funding in Brazil, and obviously he saw that Donald Trump invited Bolsonaro to the inauguration. He didn't let Bolsonaro go to the inauguration. Moraes didn't let him. But he saw that there's a friendship, there's a connection. And then he said, then there was a visit of the Special Rapporteur of Freedom of Speech of the OAS, or the Organization of American States. And he was like, okay, maybe I'm going too far. Let me release some pressure. And so he unblocked several social media accounts, including Allan's and mine, that were targeted by Moraes in 2023. So, but Moraes just hates Allan so much that he couldn't.
What did you do, Allan? Did you poke his wife?
I am irresistible. I can't blame him.
I mean, the guy hates me, but he hates Allan even more.
So, Allan, why now? I mean, like, why? So you're saying, okay, so there's some pressure, there's some new sheriff in town stuff, but then it seems like he's got this indictment in his hand now for Bolsonaro. He's connected to Trump. Trump likes him. There's a connection with what they're charging him with.
I'm sorry. Can I pause just for one? Can I pause for 1 second? Yes. On CNN right now, fired federal employee describes stress, trauma, and it's a teary-eyed woman with a bob cut. Can I just? I don't know if they can hear. Let me just see this real. I just can't. I'm so distracted. Let me see what she has to say.
Oh my God, her name's Karen.
The human side of all of this, rather than just talking about it. So, thank you for helping us better understand that.
Try getting some sun. interviewing a fucking corpse.
These people are crying because they were fired from a job they shouldn't have had. You guys have faced jail. It's just, if nothing else, at least we know people on the right have more of a constitution than on the
Apparently
left.
she works on the ground.
It's like, I was only given 6 months severance. Go buy yourself a dishwasher, bitch.
I take it.
Steven, do you know what you can do? An OnlyFans account. I tried that, but I got blocked.
It's not that
I was
bad.
banned by OnlyFans. I tried to do journalism on OnlyFans. I'm not kidding.
That's not what people are there for.
You can do that.
Yeah, you got to do it with your shirt off.
Yeah. You could be a journalism bear. You might be able to.
Hey, that guy's ripped and he's smart.
Yeah. Like, this isn't what I expected when I searched naughty professor, but all right, I'll stick around. I'm sorry.
He's like, oh, OnlyFans. Well, right this way, Mr. Dos Santos.
I was distracted. Sorry, Gerald, finish your question. It's just, I just hate these people.
No, what I'm
Not
saying
you,
is, like,
but-
obviously, you know, going back to what Paulo said, you know, USAID funding changing, President Trump being elected, Bolsonaro being invited, but now he holds this indictment over Bolsonaro's head, like, in kind of picking a fight with American companies. It seems like, yes, some of the pressure was released, and yes, some actions changed. But Allan, he comes out and he names you and he names Figueiredo, and he's trying to basically undo everything. There's like no positive momentum now. What happened? It was just last week.
They're doing two different things at the same time. They try to show that they were releasing pressure, but listen, what they realize and what they have been openly saying is that what happened in the United States happened because the institutions, meaning them, they didn't act fast enough in the United States. They should have arrested Trump before. They should have sent him to prison, make him ineligible to run for office and all that quicker. But they didn't act fast enough. We're not going to make the same mistake in Brazil. So we're going to do two things at the same time. We're going to release some pressure with the necessary people that we're the accounts that we're withholding, but we're going to do better. We're going to indict Bolsonaro in like a very short time, and in order to do that, they usually they don't work on January and December because it's like their break. They're not in session, but they brought everyone back from vacation and they worked double time in order to make sure Bolsonaro was indicted fast enough as he was yesterday. The other thing that they're trying to do is that they're going to put a vote on the Supreme Court case that regulates social media in Brazil. So they're going to have the social media completely regulated and the opposition leaders arrested and imprisoned. And with that done, they won't have the same problem as the United States with Donald Trump coming back or Bolsonaro coming back in Brazil. So that's their plan. That's what they're currently doing. And the reason they're doing this and they're able to do this is because, in a sense, Donald Trump didn't say anything about Brazil at all during his first month in office.
Right.
It's like Brazil doesn't matter, and that's the impression that some of them are getting, which I think is a wrong impression. But that's how they see it. They say, "Well, Trump is too busy with Gaza, Ukraine, Panama Canal, Mexico, Canada, Greenland." He's not going to take care. He's not going to pay attention to Brazil. So we have a window of opportunity to consolidate power. And once they consolidate power, there's nothing the United States government can do. Just like it's the case of Venezuela. Now Venezuela, Trump, boo-hoo, Maduro is very bad. What can we do? Well, we're not going to send troops and release the people of Venezuela. Obviously, no one wants that. And so there's nothing you could do. In Brazil, they could do something diplomatic if they acted fast enough, but that window is closing very fast.
Do you think that that's part of the reason for the lawsuit with President Trump's company alongside Rumble right now for some leverage because that indictment has made it to Moraes' desk? I
think so. I think it's a clear sign. I don't think Truth Social would have done anything without Trump's acknowledgement. On this. It's a supposition. I don't know. But Donald Trump Jr., I believe, is on the board. Yep. I know Devin Nunes, the CEO, is very close to President Trump. So I assume they wouldn't have done this, which has international implications, without consulting or Donald Trump first. And
I would like to add the fact that Marco Rubio was mentioned by the Brazilian media. That's a very interesting point. That Marco Rubio, that was Brazilian media, that wasn't us that reporting this. The Brazilian media was reporting that Marco Rubio was aware that if the persecutor in Brazil would do that against Bolsonaro, that they did yesterday,
Yeah.
that would be a very bad sign for the United States. So that was the Brazilian media reporting this. So and right after that, we have this kind of a suitcase. It's a very nice sign. I would say nice, but a very good sign that they are aware of what's going on in Brazil.
Yeah. Well, I do hope they act fast. I mean, being from Brazil, I mean, I'm from Canada, which I know is crazy to say, but just as bad as far as media. A lot of people don't realize. I mean, comedians have been arrested and put before human rights tribunals in Canada for jokes. People think of them as so American that they don't really realize how little free speech is a value to most Canadians. They haven't even thought about it. So I know how quickly things can turn and how it can go down the drain. I do hope that President Trump, acts fast on this. I do hope that our officials do. I do know that Rumble is, and Chris obviously is there in the shit with you guys right now. I am concerned that, like Gerald said, why this guy seems emboldened right now.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's something beneath the surface that he has some kind of newfound confidence, and I don't know why. That's concerning to me.
They think Trump won't act. That's what they say. That Trump's bluffing. Today on the Brazilian news media, we're on let's say the Brazilian CNN. We already have them saying that they talked to the people in the Supreme Court. They're saying, "Oh, this Donald Trump's a jokester. It's just him bluffing. Doesn't mean anything. That nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to come out of this." But it will, because the case is actually a landmark for free speech in the whole world. Because if Rumble and True Social are successful and they get the TRO they're looking for, no social media company in the United States will be obligated to comply with censorship orders coming from other countries. And I think that's going to be a big win for free speech in the world. There's a way of Americans exporting their freedom of speech. There's a very good bill right now that has been reintroduced in the United States House. It's called No Censorship on Our Shores Act, that pretty much makes it inadmissible to enter in the United States any foreign officials that violates the First Right Amendment of a U.S. citizen abroad. That would make all European leaders, all Canadian leaders ineligible to get into the United States. And most of them do want to come to America. So it would be very bad for them, very bad for business. And that's an opportunity for the United States to start doing back what it used to do. The United States used to be a beacon for freedom and the exporter of freedom values to all other countries, right? We all kind of model our governments on the United States model of government. And during the past at least 4 years, it stopped doing that. And now we see an opportunity. And I think that's in line with what J.D. Vance said in German, that the United States can start again being the exporter of freedom to the world.
That's the positive thing about this, the one positive. It's kind of an international thing now.
Yeah.
Waking a lot of people up.
Yeah.
And those people over in Brazil that say Trump's bluffing and all that, they don't know Donald Trump, apparently.
Yeah, I don't think he's not a guy.
Bluff's not in his vocabulary.
No, and I do love that J.D. Vance did that, because I've been doing this, like Change My Mind. America is the greatest. And people go, why do you say it's the greatest? And it was really an easy one, a checkmate.
Yeah.
First move, I go, freedom of speech. It's the only place where it's enshrined in the Constitution. Anywhere else, you can be jailed, you can be arrested. It's subjective. It's not enshrined in their Constitution. It's not absolute. They would go, well, Belgium. I go, no. I'd say Canada. No. Pick a country, any country. The answer is no. To me, that's enough. And then, of course, the Second Amendment.
Even the majority of the European Union doesn't agree with freedom at this point.
No, I'm glad that J.D. Vance brought up examples of people who were jailed for speech.
So that's the positive on this, that making people aware, like you said, it's kind of a world thing now.
I hope. Do you think there's more? Because, Europe, these people are subservient to their overlords, their masters. And I know that you've said, Paulo and Allan, that Brazilians don't necessarily have that same type of history, right? This sort of mistrust of government. We were founded upon revolution here in the United States, fighting an empire, superpower. In Europe, it's not going to happen, right? In Canada, they still have the queen on their money. They kiss the king's ring. In Europe, effectively the same thing. Do you think there are going to be enough people in Brazil, a groundswell, for this to become a populist movement? Or is it more like Canada, where there are so many people who just kind of are indifferent?
Things are changing.
Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, no, things are changing in Brazil because when you see Brazil a few years ago, we wouldn't have anything close to Breitbart, as I mentioned to you. We wouldn't have Paulo Figueiredo in TV in Brazil before everything that happened after Bolsonaro's election, and that happened in 2018 following the win of Donald Trump in 2016. So our hope is everything that starts here in the United States that can really be exported, ideas of freedom, ideas of free market, and all this stuff. Once these strong movement start in the United States, that can kind of reach Brazilian people and change their mind. Yeah. So we are talking about a country that would never have any alternative media, right-wing, conservative. All these words are quite new in Brazil.
Right.
It's not something that you would listen to 15 years ago. No, you wouldn't, unless in small groups, like the liberal for us in Brazil, it's a totally different word. So in some liberal movement in Brazil, or Olavo de Carvalho's students, the Professor Olavo. So only in small groups you could listen to all these words, conservative, free market, and so forth. Now, this movement is growing and growing fast. So I do believe that things can change down there.
The majority of the Brazilian population is already on the right, and we haven't seen demonstrations, hundreds of thousands, and we're probably seeing almost 1 million people on the streets next month on the 16th. And Brazil has something that's very good, which is a presidential system, which is different from what Canada and Europe have. And that makes a lot of difference, because in the presidential system, it's either you're on one side or the other. Right. With what happened in Canada, and in a sense, but mostly in European countries, that you have the parliamentarian system, and with that you usually have the right with let's say 30% of the votes, the left with 30% of the votes, and then the rest is on the middle, and the middle always sides with the left, and that's why you never get a right-wing government in most European countries. And Brazil has the same exact system almost that the United States has. That's why Bolsonaro is so popular, and he's leading all the polls. Last night, a new poll came out with Bolsonaro leading Lula by 5 points for the first time. Wow. And also in 2026, which is the next election, if he's not in prison and ineligible, he will win. Lula's approval rate is right now on the 20%. Wow. So it's I think there's a strong movement in Brazil, but the difference is that the institutions in the United States are way more independent. In Brazil, the electoral system, the courts, everything is very centralized. Yeah. So there's a disconnection between what the people want and what the establishment allow people to do.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about that today. You're kind of seeing that from the left, where the left claims they want to preserve democracy, and they believe that 1 out of 900 federal judges should be able to usurp the president and block it. Say, well, hold on a second. This person who was not elected by the entire country, right? This person didn't win a national election. In many of these cases, most people don't know who this person is, has the right to block the man who was given a mandate of the masses. So you see them trying to do it. The left is always the same. They'll always try and champion falsely, freedom of speech or freedoms, but really what they mean is abortion. What they mean is abortion and drugs, and everything else they want under their control. And it all
starts with speech.
Yeah.
Everything starts with speech.
Yep.
That's why it should be a universal. I can't believe there's two types of people in the world. Someone who's going to tell you to shut your mouth, and someone who's not going to take it. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, sometimes I'll say, shut your mouth, but then there's nothing I can do about it. They're like, I'm not going to. I'm like, well, I guess I can't really do anything. Yeah. It was a request, really. All right, final question, Gerald.
So it's more of a statement. I just wanted to let you guys know. I told Devin Nunes that we were talking about this right now. So he's this chairman and CEO of Trump Media Technology Group, and obviously the True Social, they joined this, and this is the comment from him. So TMTG is firmly committed to upholding the right to free expression. It's not just a slogan, it's the core mission of this company, and we're proud to join our partner Rumble in standing against unjust demands for political censorship, and this is the part that's fun, regardless of who makes them. So that's a direct, obviously, jab at these guys in Brazil, Moraes specifically. So I'm hoping that what we see from these companies is not just this lawsuit, not just bringing a little bit of attention to it, but actually maybe some action from this administration to put some pressure on Brazil outside of just this lawsuit, because the lawsuit on its face should just be like, of course they can't tell you to do that.
Right. That should be it. But I hope
it would be awesome if X joined it at one point, because
I How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had
And
to Moraes
and
and
Meta too. Meta too, because
Yes, Zuckerberg
one
too.
of my account in Instagram is still cannot be seen in the United States. My first account on Instagram, Allan Santos BR. If you type it right now, it says this profile cannot be shown in your country, and I'm talking about the United States.
Really?
That's Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Well, no. If it's you say
Instagram.
X.
Oh, I thought he said Instagram.
No. I'm talking about Meta. If you go
Meta.
to Instagram, if you type Allan Santos BR, you can search on about my name. But once you click it, it says this profile cannot be shown in your country.
That's why I don't trust that bastard either.
Yeah, there's a lot that I don't trust with the big tech pros being steeped in it for so long, because I've seen it in media too much, where so many people have their come to Jesus moment, and then you find out it's not exactly what you expected. And X could have held the line there, and we were disappointed when they didn't, and it wasn't really covered. They kind of did it quietly.
I'm more worried about Zuckerberg than Elon. Elon's done enough to show me.
He's done done enough, but he's also done some things for me behind the scenes. We're like, hold on a second. Why are you guys taking part in banning Brazilian accounts?
Yeah.
Why are you guys doing? Why are you boosting people because of just personal relationships and throttling people who you don't like? Why are you all of a sudden wanting to uncap H-1Bs? Like, there's enough there for me to go, at best case scenario, he doesn't understand where some people are lining up. He doesn't understand the reasons that his supporters support him, and there's a disconnect. And you know what? Maybe he'll
learn.
I hope that he learns. I hope that he grows in it. And I think that
at least Zuckerberg's do jujitsu now.
that's true.
Yeah,
that will make him more conservative. You know that. That will make him more conservative.
I think I can kick the shit out of him. I have two bad shoulders, and I'm 63.
Probably. I think his wife can, or probably, let's be honest, soon to be ex-wife, because this guy is changing.
Who has a pink belt?
And actually, isn't that the coral belt? That's the ultimate belt.
Is it really?
Coral.
That's all I'm worried about. Brazil. Don't fuck up we want the fighters over here.
Yes. And the women.
It's my favorite thing. And the women. Yeah, we want the fighters and the asses.
Well, in my case, one Brazilian woman, Paulo Figueiredo knows very well, but she's an American citizen, so it's fine. I just have to be careful because I just said Brazilian women, and, the Brazilian ladies are a jealous bunch. I'm just referring to one.
One woman.
Is that your mistress or the what?
So am I.
Yes. All right, guys, where's the best place for people to support you? And, of course, we'll be checking back in with you and staying on top of this lawsuit.
Well, they can always support me on X and True Social.
Yes, and true. And what? So
and Rumble.
I was going to say Rumble.
Yeah.
I was going to say Rumble right now. I mean,
I'm everywhere.
that remains to be seen
but-
with Rumble. Who knows how that works out in Brazil? Yeah. All right. And Allan.
Yeah, Steve, I would like to give a very strong message here, very important. I know there are a lot of people celebrating everything that has been unmasked and unveiled from this corrupted government from the previous administration, but hold them
accountable.
Yes.
We need to understand that.
Amen.
Do not be, like a distractive with the happiness of seeing your money not being wasted anymore. Oh, finally, my money will not be funding the terrorists and the censorship and tyrants around the world, but hold them accountable. Because we have seen this situation in Brazil. When you find out they were using your money to fund terrorist groups, drug cartels, and so forth, but if you don't hold them accountable, they will come back, they will become president, they will pack the Supreme Court, and that's over.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I hate to say this, but I find myself moving more and more toward a Pinochet helicopter ride. Of course, that's figurative, but it might be literal. Mr. Figueiredo and dos Santos, thank you, brothers. We'll talk with you soon. Be well.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye, guys. It's been Figueiredo, dos Santos, everybody. I see you're still watching. You've fallen right into my trap to continue watching. And if you click this video, if you like this, there's probably more like-minded content right there. You can click or just tune in live weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. Or is that just what I want you to... Is that what I want you to think?